Hey, you seem to be enjoying World War I. Would you like to learn more about the weapons and styles of battle that shaped the war? Great. Well, let's get right into it. World War I was a war fought from 1914 to 1918. During World War I, many weapons, vehicles, and military tactics were utilized and revolutionized. The Great War saw the use of various rifles and guns, the use and strengthening of the tank, the invention and use of planes and mustard gas, as well as new tactics like trench warfare and the use of messenger pigeons. Let's take a look at trench warfare. In trench warfare, both sides dug trenches to protect themselves. Either side of the battlefield would have a trench. In the middle of those trenches was no man's land. Various charges would be led towards the enemy trench through no man's land. However, very few survived that horrid middle ground. Here's a recreation of the doom someone running through no man's land would most likely meet. Each trench was complex, surrounded by barbed wire and parados. It had many different pathways leading to various vantage points, bunks for soldiers, weapon storage rooms, and more. It took 450 men 6 hours to build 275 yards of trench that was 7 feet deep and 6 feet wide. Imagine the workload.
Life in the trenches was never pleasant. At best, the trenches were as dirty, smelly, and riddled with disease as this dirty sock I found under my refrigerator. For soldiers, life in the trenches meant a life of fear. Fear of disease like cholera and trench foot, and of course, the fear of an enemy attack.
Now, let's move on to guns and weapons. Some of the most commonly used guns during World War I include the shotgun, like this Remington Model 11 12-gauge semi-auto gun, and Winchester Model 12 trench gun. Rifles, like this Say Regatti rifle, and this Lee Enfield rifle. And snipers, like this SMLE and Guer 98.
There were a variety of weapons developed or improved immediately prior to and during World War I, like the machine gun, mortar, and grenade. Although these weapons were often unwieldy and unreliable, not unlike my ex-wife Janine. I mean, how hard is it to pick someone up from soccer practice? Damn. Anyway, these weapons pale in comparison to the rifle, which was the most influential and crucial infantry weapon during World War I.
Speaking of marriage, let's move on to something else that burns and causes blisters and death. Mustard gas. Mustard gas is a chemical weapon that was used to poison large amounts of soldiers. The gas would spread quickly and would cause many health problems. This is what the use of mustard gas might have looked like.
Mustard gas is made out of sulfur and causes the burning of the skin, the eyes, and the lungs, and it gets its name from its mustardy color and smell. During World War I, it was used primarily to incapacitate victims on a grand scale. Used primarily by Germany against the Canadian English soldiers, it was created in 1822 by Cesar Mansuet de Pretz, and later developed by Victor Meyer and Hans Thatcher Clark. Germans used the Meyer-Clark method, and the first attack was near the Belgian town of Ypres.
You would have had to been an ass to not wear a mask. Now we'll talk about one of the most important weapons in World War I, planes.
Airplanes were very crude at first. However, World War I really developed them in advanced aviation technology. Initially, they were not used for mass destruction at all. However, on October 5, 1914, a French pilot by the name of Louis Colnot opened fire on a German pilot, thus starting air combat. Planes were then fitted with machine guns and larger scale bombs as aircrafts became primarily used for fighting. World War I revolutionized aircrafts as they became more efficient and weapons for destruction. Aircrafts, however, also revolutionized how war was fought because it made war go faster as well as create a more strategic destruction.
Planes were a crucial part of the war and were often used thanks to the many stalemates in trench warfare. Planes were used to perform bombing runs, do reconnaissance, or take down other planes in dogfights. Look at this realistic footage of a brave pilot defending his country. Now we will discuss tanks.
The conceptual roots of the tank go back to ancient times with siege engines, which were used as protection for troops going up against steel walls or other fortifications. The British developed the modern tank used in World War I, although it was the French who ended up outproducing them in their development of the tank, and the Germans only developed their version of the tank in response to the Allied development. The tank actually played a very interesting role in World War I.
Some examples of tanks include the earlier Schneider CA-1, which had trouble maneuvering and broke down a lot. Then the Mark IV, which was a vast improvement on the Schneider and had better movement and firing capabilities. Then the Renault FT, which was light and nimble and was the first tank to have a fully rotational cannon. Look at this rare and up-close footage of a tank driver and his crew storming bravely into battle. Now we'll look at a weapon that really heated up the battle. Oh, I make myself laugh.
Flamethrowers are used by launching burning fuel onto massive areas to create huge, uncontrollable fires. Most often, they were vehicle or man-mounted and used to drive soldiers out of trenches. Created by the Germans and used first against the French and then later against the British, Richard Felder is known for creating the first modern flamethrower. In modern warfare, they are now banned as they are weapons of mass destruction.
For those of you with a weak stomach, we recommend you look away from the following footage of a soldier with a flamethrower dousing another soldier in fire. The final topic isn't a weapon, but was a key component to the war. Messenger pigeons. Messenger pigeons were often used to carry important and urgent messages in battle plans. It was a dangerous job, and many pigeons were shot down. They were very valiant, however. One pigeon, named the Marker, flew 52 missions before it was hurt in the line of duty. Here we can see a situation when a messenger pigeon was needed, and how it would have been utilized to call backup. Thank you for watching and giving your plane undivided attention. It got a little heated at times, but it was fun, and we will be gunning to share more information about World War I. Puns.